Since the PED virus outbreak in U.S. hogs last year, South Africa has not allowed U.S. pork, beef, or poultry products into their country. Last week, U.S. trade representatives demanded the Pretoria government lift disease-related bans on U.S. meat or no longer receive African Growth and Opportunity Act trade privileges. U.S. officials were told at their last formal meeting in July that South Africa expects a disease-free condition, meaning that an outbreak anywhere in the U.S. would continue to result in a blanket ban.
Yeah, and we're trying to. They have some cultural and some religious issues in some cases, but clearly that's where we have to enforce not only free trade, but fair trade. And another situation that we're working on and watching very closely is Argentina and Brazil in terms of them being allowed to export cattle into our country. We're very concerned about that, and we want very much a go-slow approach, and we're trying to hold USDA back from approving any cattle exports from Argentina or Brazil until we are 100% satisfied that they are disease-free.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture is considering allowing imports of beef from Brazil and Argentina from parts of those countries that have documented foot and mouth disease. Well, time now for Stewardship Wednesday, staying ahead of the curve in animal care. The cattle are out in the pasture without being checked on every day. Producers are encouraged to check their cattle for injuries, especially lameness.
Injury is one, and injury usually happens with adult cattle. It can certainly happen in breeding bulls, and it can certainly happen in those breeding females. Usually breeding bulls, I think, get this from their activity, their mounting activity, and the injury usually occurs on the hind legs. So when they're standing on hind legs trying to breed a cow, there's a lot of pressure on those joints. Sometimes maybe they get bashed by a competitor bull, or they just slip, or the ground isn't quite right and they lose their footing. And what happens is those ligaments, and in many cases I believe it's what we call the cruciate ligament. You hear about that in athletes that have an ACL injury, anterior cruciate ligament. When you rupture that in an adult bull or adult animal, they become extremely lame. And we really don't repair them. It can be done, I assume. I remember in vet school we tried to repair one on an adult bull and it was not very successful. And it's because there's so much weight back there. There's so much pressure. So if that happens to an adult bull or adult cow, you really need to get them out of the pasture. Put them in a place where they don't have to walk very far, because they will not travel very well and they still need to get to water and get to where the grazing is. And they'll try. They'll keep hobbling along. They're tough, but they need to be removed. So injuries are things to look for in adult cattle.
Now, farmers should also be aware of how the summer heat is affecting their cattle. Dairy cows don't sweat, but right now Texas farmers wish they could. No rain in 6 weeks and near record-breaking temperatures mean milk production could drop by 20%. The long Texas drought is officially over, but as Betty Cross reports, this latest dry spell has farmers worried the weather is once again encroaching on their livelihood.
So my name's Alana. I'll be giving you your tour this morning.
It's the first outing of the day.
Okay.
And families are already flocking to the shade.
There you go.
A handful of Cheerios.
It doesn't hurt at all.
And a breezy barn distract this tour group from one of the driest Julys on record.
We're getting dry and crunchy and cracks in the ground again.
Faith Frericks helps run the family's 100-year-old dairy farm in LaGrange.
These are our little Jersey heifers.
Heavy rain in May and June helped the hay crop. But 2 wet months can't compensate for 2 dry decades.
We used to milk 330 cows, now we're milking 100.
There they come.
The Jersey barnyard weathered the drought by downsizing and diversifying.
These are our piglets, Chica and Beans.
Daily tours of the 740-acre farm are turning rabbits.
You can pet them.
And goats.
They absolutely love grass.
Into cash cows.
It has helped us start making some repairs and doing some improvements that have been way overdue.
The family farm is also maximizing profits from its biggest producers.
We get about 2.5 gallons per cow per day.
This year, Ralph Frericks quit selling to a milk marketing co-op. Jersey Barnyard is now strictly farm to market.
We sell all our milk as raw milk in our store.
But there's no workaround for a dry July that's now starting to shrivel August. These cows follow the well-worn path to the milking barn twice a day. Even though Jerseys tolerate the heat better than other dairy cows. At 4 in the afternoon, they move slower and produce less.
So they'll give a lot more milk in the morning milking than in the evening milking.
It's a 60-40 split, and farmers can only watch as income evaporates.
It's still hard and a struggle, and we have to be very careful about what we do.
The weather forecast has the sun herding cows to the shade for at least the next week. A wet spring conceding to a dry summer.
Coming up after the break, we'll take a full look at your weather forecast.